example of organised peer teaching is sitting all students in pairs or groups pretty much permanently based on the way various students work together. Another is placing some students together in pairs as the need for peer teaching arises. However, I tended to let peer teaching happen organically. In other words, I tended not to orchestrate it too much. However, what follows is one structured activity I did use. I call this the Teams of 3 peer teaching activity, and it's a competition. Now I must say at the time, thinking this one up was a stroke of genius. Here's the background to the activity. I just marked an assessment task and was quite disappointed in the results. Clearly, most students had underperformed and had not grasped this particular unit anywhere near as well as I had anticipated. Now, this was a particularly enthusiastic class, so I did not feel the poor results was especially due to any lack of effort on their part. So yes, clearly I had failed as their teacher. Interestingly, the results split the students roughly into thirds. A third had absolutely nailed the task, a third underperformed resulting in average marks, and a third underperformed significantly with poor marks. This distribution into thirds prompted the idea for this activity. The other factor which prompted me into action was that I just didn't want to have to reteach the unit myself. So this is what I did. I split the class into groups of 3, one student from each third. The student from the top third was the designated coach of their group. Each student's individual score on the original assessment was added to make the initial team total. The task for the teams of 3, led by the coach, was for each person to rectify the sections of their initial assessment that they didn't do well in. They had 3 lessons in which to do this, after which they would resit a similar assessment task. The aim of the competition was to be the team which increased their total score by the greatest margin. There were prizes for the top 3 teams. The exercise worked brilliantly. It was awesome to sit back and watch the groups in action and to observe the fervour of the coaching and the participation by all members. Now after the retest, I collated the results in a spreadsheet and calculated the winners. And during this process realised that this activity, the process of calculating the winners, was an awesome mathematical activity in itself and well within the ability of this junior high school class of students to perform. During the lesson, as everyone was waiting for the winners to be called out, what I actually said was that before the winners would be announced, there was an additional competition that they had to undertake. I gave each team a printout of the spreadsheet, the one that you see on the screen, with the names converted to A, B and C, etc. And the teams had one lesson to calculate the scores and determine who the winners were. At the end of the lesson there was a prize for the team who calculated the scores and the winners correctly, as well as the original prizes for the top 3 teams who had improved their combined test scores the most. Now if we have a look at the sheet that the students received, so there we have the students, what group they were in, their pre-test score and their post-test score. And for this class I didn't give anything else, so you could put difference and average improvement in here if you wanted to lead kids depending on your student's ability. I had 2 questions down the bottom. Which group had the best average improvement in score? That was a bit of a leading question. And what minimum score would student 16 need to gain in order for her group to win? So she was absent, so that was an interesting little question as well. My solution sheet, and the one you have access from the course, which has the instructions on it, look like this, with the difference and the average improvement in there. You can see the group A is yellow, group B is pink, etc. This structured peer teaching activity really has fantastic potential. Note that if you are keen to use this but your class doesn't split evenly into 3 groups according to test scores, you would simply create groups around the top performers. So that's it. If you like the look of that, feel free to give it a try. Thanks for listening.